place. And I think that's the one thing that's cool about America, is that the openness, you know, and talking about these things. Sure. And I had the great luck and fortune to meet somebody who was suffering from this affliction. And I really, you know, it's hard when you're asking direct questions to somebody about really personal things. And I had the same experience in hunger. People are sort of guarded. Of course, they don't know what you're going to do, and you're telling their story, so it's sensitive stuff. So I just tried to get them to tell me stories. I like telling stories, and I like to hear them. And from stories, I found it was a way to really, people let their guard down, and you start to get an idea of where these motivations come from. This whole idea of intimacy, and how intimacy is such a difficult place for this guy to be in, you know. It's a place that he can't control, and it's a place that makes him feel scared and vulnerable and insecure. So then I just go back and I work with the script. I work with the script a lot, go a little bit crazy, and then do some more and more, and get bored of it, and you find new things and nothing, and then put it all together.
I had a question that maybe both Michael and Steve could address. You know, a lot of filmmakers say that they don't really look back on their previous film when they're on to the next one. But did you at any point look at Hunger and Shame as sort of companion pieces? You could say that both films really are about the relationship between the body and the mind.
Well, I thought it was a continuation. I never thought it was as of my second film. I just thought it was a continuation. Just keep on going, keep on running. And that was it, really. I didn't look back in the sense of the way of looking at Hunger, because it was the same film as far as I was concerned. That was it.
In what sense?
Well, in the way that I don't really like the idea of sort of second anything or third or fourth. It just, you know, it is an ism, and then within that ism, there's a situation. Oh, we're in New York now. We're not in Belfast. We're not in a prison cell. Okay, the action, you know, continuation. You know, you could stitch the two films together, and it's a continuation. That's it.
Michael?
Yes.
Okay, wait. Michael, actually, let me ask you about, I think some people here might have seen A Dangerous Method earlier in the week, in which you play Carl Jung. Was that the film that you made just before this?
No, I was manipulating metal in between both.
All right, okay. So Dangerous Method, X-Men, and then Shame. But since some people might have seen A Dangerous Method and Shame within, you know, the span of 48 hours, I'm wondering if you held those two characters in mind, whether they were in a sense in a conversation in your head.
No, you know, it's kind of weird, and even sort of, you know, sitting here now, and it's really nice to reflect, and we thank God. It almost seems like it was a year ago that we did this. It's so weird that it's turned over so quickly, and it's here now, and we're back in New York, which is really special to have it here with the local audience, you know. And, you know, it's I forgot what I was going to say. It's just, you know, I try not to dwell in the past, you know. And so it's, you do something, and you experience something, and it's the experience that you think is important, and you try and do your best, and then it sort of passes on. So I had forgotten all about, you know, Carl Jung. I didn't even think, and of course now, in retrospect, I look and I'm like, okay, there's parallels here, but at the time, definitely not. I'm just sort of, I kind of immerse myself, and then I can forget about it pretty quickly and get into the next thing.
I'm sure there are questions from the audience. Yes? I'm sorry, somebody in the second row speaking will get to, yeah. Because the question is about your character. Well, actually, let's stick with one question. That was one question, and we will stick with that. The question about, I think, again, sort of a question that I had asked, and you had already answered, about the connection with hunger, and I think this viewer introduced the notion of freedom, perhaps, and whether you saw connections there.
I think I understand. it's about sort of imprisonment that you're talking about, is it? And that one guy is sort of using his body to find some sense of freedom, perhaps, in himself, and the other guy is imprisoned by the flesh and these sort of impulses that he's fully aware of. That's why I like him, you know, is because he's trying, you know, he's battling it, and you know, he's fully aware that he's suffering from this illness, and yeah, his sort of escapades and physical escapades are in a sense his sort of prison. So yeah, I think is that what?
Okay, I'm sorry, we have a lot of people here. We're going to try to take a few more questions.
We appreciate your determination.
Thank you. It's hard to see in the back. Other hands in the back? Okay, yes, just speak up. The question is for Steve, and whether he was aware of other films that deal with sex addiction. And I would maybe add to that whether you were thinking of other films that deal with addiction, because there obviously are, that obviously is a genre.
No, I was just interested in the subject matter, really. And it was not about sort of being a pioneer and making a first film about sex addiction. I don't think I am. I just love the idea that this addiction had to do with, you know, in order to facilitate this addiction, had to do with another person. You know, sometimes, of course, you can do it. You know, you can do it on your own, of course. But in order to facilitate this addiction, you needed another person. And there's the drama. And of course, you think of Billy Wilder, Lost Weekend, with alcohol addiction and those kind of films. But it's you know, I'm not interested. Films at the end of the day become boring to talk about. You know, you make people who have sort of encyclopedia brains about film. That's not interesting. What is interesting is that you focus on what you're looking at and find it within the frame and tell a story. That's what's interesting. I think for me, it was about being here and the research, and that's what gave us the film. The film was about what people, you know, I don't want to put my stencil onto a subject matter. I want to sort of be open to what it offers up. And as far as references is concerned about other films, it's not, that wasn't my main focus. It was more about how do you sort of depict something within a narrative form within this whole idea of sex addiction.